Hello. In today's video, I will cover how to use the pandas and basically read a file, open a file, accessing this column, and so on. So this is the very first beginning introduction to pandas, and before that, I have already covered the arithmetic operators introduction to some preliminary data science first book, where I have just introduced some syntax and so on, and the functions and so on in the preceding videos. So I believe now we are in a very good shape to access the pandas. So rather than introducing to other data structures, because most of the times we are only going to use pandas, so it is good to start with that. Okay, so let's get started without further delay. So just want to give you some heads up. In today's video, I will use the serial.csv file. This is one of the data science CSV which I get from Kaggle, and I have used the same in my Excel video as well. So what I will do, you don't have to worry about if on this CSV. I will share the link below in the description, so you can go and download this my Panda notebook and the CSV as well. So or just the CSV file, right, to that share folder. So it should be easy for you to follow. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so to use the Panda, we need to import this library. It's called Pandas, and this time the common industry standard is to use the PD as the alias for Panda, right? So which we can use as AS. Okay, so if I shift enter, and then it's trying to import. So you see it's the number one instruction is imported, and then now I can use this. So I'll say okay, this data frame, and then we have pd dot read. If I put a tab here, you can see it offers me a bunch of syntax here. Since my file is already in a CSV format, I'll go and pick up the read CSV, right? And then if I open this and if I put shift enter, you can see it's the syntax is asking me, okay, what is your files? By default, it's a separator is comma, right? And the file locations. So for me, the file location in the same place. So I'll just pass the serial.csv, serial.csv, right? If the file is not CSV format, you can just click comma and put the separator. In that case, it can be either one, right? So it can be is pipe separated or so on. In my case, it simply comma, since it's already given by default, so I'm not giving that right now. So if I enter this, you can see within not in the milliseconds my data is loaded into this data frames. So data frame thing from this two-dimensional array, or it's like a giant spreadsheets, right? So if I want to access my data, how should I do? I use the head, right? So it's, if I put a head here, it's give me some preliminary records for that data. By default, it's giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a 5 records. If I want to have more records, so basically it's now giving me the column names, some sample values. If I want, I can also go and look into the particular more data. Like if I want to give, let's say, rather than 5, if I want to give 10 records, I put shift enter, and you can see I'll get 0 to 9 is a 10 record, right? So what about if I only want, let's say, the calories columns, right? So there are two ways of accessing the data frames. So for example, if I want to do df dot, I can do like this, CALORIES, right? If I do like this and press shift enter, you can see it's give me the lot of data, it's information here. So it's giving me first few records and the last few records, and also give the total length here is 77, right? And the data types integers. So these are the integers data type, and the name of the column is calories. If the name doesn't have any space, then I can also use this format, df.calories. If I enter like this, you see this is another way to access the data, right? So that's pretty handy, depend upon which way you would like to see. Okay, so the next thing is, if right now all the columns are, we can easily see from here, but if you want specifically which columns list, so just press df dot, and if you press the tab, I will share to you. Yeah, you see these are the columns available in data frames, right? If I press C, you can see the columns come here, right? So if I press shift enter again, so these are the columns giving, and it's mentioned, okay, these are the object, right? We have calories, protein, fat, and so on, right? So good thing about this data frame is it's like a giant spreadsheet. So if when the data is huge, now these days is very common, so it's very easy to analyze the data. Another common command is, so df dot, if I do describe, it will produce the statistics on my data, right? So you can see here for example, when I do the describe, so basically it's giving me this one has 77 rows and 16 columns. So it should be within the bracket. So if you this is a function, so not as the attributes or properties. So in the describe, if you type the like describe, you can easily see how good it is. You can have a count, and you can see, okay, all my records are the same length for the columns, the means of each columns, the standard deviations, what's the minimum and the percentile, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, and what's the maximum value for each column. So it's a very good information all at once. So this is a very, very good functions, and I've used this as a lot, right, in the describe. Next is, I'll show you how we can use the data in particular records, right? So let's get into it. Okay, so now I will show you how to access the rows in the data frame. So if you want to sample test few rows, so let me first quickly bring the top 5 rows, so which will be easier for you to have a look. So if I look into so there is a command called df.iloc, right? So if I type here, for example, 1 and press enter, you see it's with this iloc I can access this. With 1 is this giving me this second row, because the row starting from 0, right? You can see this 100% natural brine, Q, the fiber is 2, so if I come to the fiber is 2, and the rating is 33%. Similarly, if I want to have the fourth one, so I'll just simply type the 4 and enter, and it's giving me the fourth record, right? So I can spot check my data, right? Because it doesn't open the data rather than have a giant data, so I can see, okay, how my data looks like. So this is the one way to see the data. So now there is another way. So for example, if I want to select the range, right, rather than a specific row, let's say if I want to select between 2 to 4, how should I do that? So for that one, because that's a very normal case as well, right? So insert cell below. Okay, so if for that one, what I'll do, I'll come to df iloc, and then rather than giving, so I'll say 2 and with :4. So if I put shift enter again, you see I'll get number 2 and number 3 rows, so the fourth is not included. So all Brian and all Brian with extra fibers, right? So which is all Brian and all Brian with extra fibers. So that's what I get. So maybe I'll put also a comments here, range of rows, right? So for easy for you access 2 to 4, right? So that should be good. Okay, now if another use case which I think is useful is if I want like a selection of rows. So let's say if I want have some end rows, few beginning rows, and few middle rows, how should I do that? So say select display the some selected rows, right? So if I enter it, so I say df.iloc, this time I will put 2 brackets here, and then I'll say, let's say I'll do second one, fourth one, 50th one, 55th one, and 76th one. And I know it's, let's do like this, right? And if I press enter, you see I get whatever the name I have selected. So this is the very handy way to go and select the data and to see how this data will look like. So hopefully you have liked so far, and if you like it, kindly subscribe to the channel, help me to reach the 1,000 subscriber goal, and please like this video so more and more people will get benefit. And if you have any question or comment, please put in the comments if I'm not asking too much. Thank you very much, and thanks for spending a time with me, and bye for now.